لله الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله
والصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول
وعلى
الله
آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا حبيب الله
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا نبي الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله
وعلى آلك وأصحابك يا نور الله
نويت سنة الاعتكاف
نويت سنة الاعتكاف.
Our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has beautifully mentioned in a hadith mubarakah that whoever recites salat upon me 100 times in the night and the day of Juma, Allah Azza wa Jalla will fulfill 100 of his needs, 70 of the hereafter and 30 of this world. And Allah Azza wa Jalla will appoint an angel who will send that salat to my grave. And this salat will come to me as a gift. Undoubtedly, my knowledge after my apparent demise from this world will remain the same as it is in my life. Sallu ala al-Habib
Sallallahu
alayhi wa sallam. Salatu wa salamun alayka ya Sayyidi, ya Habibi, ya Makki, ya Madani, ya Rasulullah. Salatu wa salamun alayka ya Nabi Allah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. All praises are due to Allah Azza wa Jalla, the cherisher, the sustainer, the maker, the provider, and the protector of the entire humanity. May these blessings and salawat and salutations be upon the noblest of creation, the Habib of Allah, and our Habib Nabi Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah Azza wa Jalla grant us the ability of following the sunnah of our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Ameen thumma ameen. Honorable, respected elders and brothers in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Indeed, we are very fortunate that Allah Azza wa Jalla has once again given us this beautiful chance and opportunity of witnessing this auspicious occasion, which is the occasion of Juma. May Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala accept our Salat al-Juma today, and may He accept all our presence here today. Ameen. Honorable, respected elders and brothers in Islam, today, inshallah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, we will be dealing with the issue of arrogance. See, we are living in this world and our living in this world, obviously as Muslims, we know that it is not forever. It is temporary. We are going to go from this world. We are going to leave this world. We are only in this world as a means of preparation for the Akhirah. And all our investments and energy and efforts and focuses should be for our Akhirah. And as living in this world, we have been taught by Allah, we have been taught by His beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam that there will be many challenges and difficulties. And some of these challenges will come in the form of sins. And we are told to remain far from sins. We are told to remain far and to step away and to be very, very, very far away from the sins and from anything which gains us the displeasure of Allah and His beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Drinking of an alcohol, that's an apparent sin and we need to stay away from it. Backbiting is an apparent sin that we should stay away from. And many other sins that are apparent that we need to stay far from. But at the same time, we need to understand that as much as there are apparent sins, there are sins that are hidden, there are inner sins. Sins that are related to the heart directly. Hatred is an inner sin, and we need to stay far away from it. Jealousy is an inner sin, that we need to stay far from it. And arrogance is also an inner sin which we as Muslims should stay very, very far from it. The amount of effort that we are putting in ensuring that we are away from the apparent sins, that is exactly the same effort and the same attitude we should have when it comes to those sins which are regarded as the inner sins. Exactly how much we want to stay away from apparent sins, the same effort should be given to those sins which are inner sins, and we should try by all means to stay far from them. Sayyidina Muhammad, Sayyidina Huzur Muhammad Al-Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi beautifully mentions that arrogance is such a disease. He says, Sayyidina Imam Muhammad bin Muhammad Ghazali rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, that an arrogant person cannot like for his Muslim brother that which he likes for himself. Such a person cannot become humble, which is the root of piety. He cannot dispel malice. He cannot take blame. He cannot stand for his wrongdoings. He always wants to find an excuse. He always wants to find reasons, and he will even go to a point of telling lies just so that his own honor is protected. He cannot do good to anyone. He remains deprived of accepting the advice of others and starts committing the sin of backbiting against the very same people that have given him advice. In short, an arrogant person feels obligated to commit each and every evil and fails to carry out every good deed due to his arrogance. So as Muslims, as believers, we should become humble and stay away from the terrible evil like arrogance for the pleasure of Allah and for the pleasure of His Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. My dear respected Islamic brothers, a person who is arrogant does not consider even poor people or ordinary people to be worthy of sitting with him. It is extremely difficult for an arrogant person to attain the blessing of advice, and sometimes he also gets deprived of the company of righteous people due to his arrogance. When someone came to visit Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah Ta'ala alayhi, and that person happened to be a very elegant person, Sayyidi Ala Hazrat mentions that he does not want to meet that particular person again simply because he is full of himself. He has so much of arrogance. So arrogance will even deprive you from the company of the pious people of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And once you are deprived from the company of those who are pious, once you are deprived from the company of those who are closer to Allah wa Ta'ala, in reality you are now going closer to the company of those who are far from Allah and who are far from His Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Therefore, my dear respected Islamic brothers, Islam is a complete way of life. Islam deals with every issue, whether it's an inner issue or be it an apparent issue. Look at how much of emphasis Allah wa Ta'ala gives when dealing with the issue of arrogance. Allah wa Ta'ala says, إِنَّهُ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُسْتَكْبِرِينَ. That indeed Allah wa Ta'ala does not like those who are arrogant. And He further says, كَذَلِكَ يَتْبَعُ اللَّهُ عَلَى كُلِّ قَلْبِ مُتَكَبِّرٍ جَبَّارٍ. This is how Allah seals the entire heart of every arrogant, rebellious person. And He also says, إِنَّ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَكْبِرُونَ عَنْ عِبَادَتِي سَيَدْخُلُونَ جَهَنَّمَ دَاخِرِينَ. Indeed, those who remain arrogant in worshipping me will soon enter hellfire, humiliated. سأصرف عن آياتي الذين يستكبرون في الأرض بغير الحق. And I shall turn those people away from my signs who unjustly wish to seek greatness in the earth. Regarding the last ayah, Sayyidina Ibn Jurayj Rahmatullahi Ta'ala alayhi has said that it means arrogant people will neither ponder over the Quranic ayahs nor get any lesson from the verses of Allah Azza wa Jalla. Yes, and brothers, how destructive habit is arrogance. And arrogant people are disliked by Allah Azza wa Jalla and His Habib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allah seals such unfortunate people's heart. Arrogant people get deprived of pondering over the ayats and the Quranic verses of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And they get deprived from attaining admonitory lessons from the Quranic verses. Further, such unfortunate people will go to the fire of Jahannam after being disgraced and humiliated. Unfortunately, despite having so many warnings from unwise people, become so much arrogant that they consider it against their honor and eminence to respect the poor, to respect the beggars, to respect the orphans and the people having low ranks from righteous and from religious and worldly perspective. They consider it against their honor and eminence to say salam and reply to their salam, to politely talk to them, to sit with them or make them sit with themselves, to attend their ceremony or to invite them to any of their ceremony, to forgive them when they make any mistakes, to eat food sitting with them or to serve them food by making them sit with themselves, to maintain relationships with them and to treat them well. For example, if any sympathetic Muslim advises them after finding them committing any sin, or if something slips out of a Muslim against them by mistake, so this poor man gets into trouble and is disgraced in front of everybody. What are some of the hadith mubarakah that were mentioned by our beloved Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, specifically about people with arrogance. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has mentioned that worst is he who considers himself to be good and feels pride and forgets Allah Azza wa Jalla. The beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has also mentioned that undoubtedly there is a place in hell in which the arrogant people will be put in and it will be shut from the top. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has also mentioned that on the day of judgment, arrogant people will be resurrected like ants with human faces. Even a very small thing will dominate them. Then they will be driven to a prison in hell called Bulas. There they will be engulfed in a massive fire. Further, they will be made to drink from the pus of the hell wells. Tubu ilallah. Sallu ala al-Habib. Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Beloved Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has also said that whoever has faith in his heart even equal to a mustard seed will not enter the fire of Jahannam. And whoever has arrogance in his heart even equal to a mustard seed will not enter Jahannam. Commenting on this blessed hadith Mubarakah, Allama Ali Qari rahmatullah ta'ala alayh has stated, by the phrase not entering Jannah means that no one will enter Jannah with arrogance, but rather when there is an arrogance in a person's heart, that dirt will definitely have to go and be washed by the fire of Jahannam. And once it is cleansed and once it is purified, then that particular person will enter into the Jannah of Allah Azza wa Jalla. So, my dear respected Islamic brothers, arrogance is so deadly, very deadly disease, that the unfortunate person who suffers from it gets destroyed and finally becomes deserving of the fire of Jahannam. Therefore, it is better for us to have mercy on our weak body and frighten ourselves of the destructions of hell. Whenever nafs and shaitan instigate a person to look down upon any Muslim and make him arrogant, he should ponder over his past, his social status, and what a person was he before Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala made him who he was. Ayaz was an ordinary and humble slave of Mahmud Ghaznawi rahmatullah ta'ala. And time passed and he achieved so much of success and his status was raised by Mahmud, so much so that he began accumulating so much of wealth. He began to be a very extraordinary person to a point where his co-workers became jealous of him. And when they became jealous of him, they went to Mahmud Ghaznawi in order to despise Ayaz. And one of the statements they used is that Ayaz has accumulated so much of wealth because he is not giving money where it is due. He is not doing justice to the possession and to the royal position that he has with you, O Mahmud. And therefore, we are telling you that Ayaz has accumulated so much of money for himself to a point where it is said that Ayaz had a separate room where 5 times every day he used to go, at least once in a day he used to go into this room. And then whenever they used to see him going into this room, they used to say, see, he is now going and he's going to have a look at the money that he has accumulated. So Mahmud trusted Ayaz so much, but in order to fulfill the desires of the co-workers of Ayaz. He decided, look, let us go, or let some of you go into this room and see how much money has Ayaz kept for himself in this room. Ayaz was an obedient servant of Allah Azza wa Jal. Was a pious personality. And when this permission was given, all these people that had laid allegation against him, they went and broke the law with the order of the key in order to see what Ayaz had kept in that particular room. And when they opened and they saw what was kept in that room, they were very shocked and surprised. What Ayaz kept in that room, he kept an old torn kurta and also a pair of old slippers. And when he was asked, oh Ayaz, I mean, you have been now elevated to such ranks and status and maqam. We thought that in this room you have money, you have treasures of the king that you have kept for yourself. And to our surprise, what you kept is an old kurta, an old pair of slippers. What is the reason behind this? Then Ayaz replies and he says to them, the reason why I kept this old, torn clothes in this room, and I come at least once a day in this room, every time I come I wear this kurta and then I put on these old slippers to remind me where I come from. Because if I don't, there's a huge chance that I will be overtaken by pride, and that will be my destruction. And then when he had said this, all these people that had laid allegations against Ayaz were put to disgrace. Look at how people, our predecessors, made sure that arrogance really don't enter into their hearts. How they played far from arrogance despite running big companies in that case, running big facilities, but they knew once the drop of pride overtakes them, that will be a destruction for them, which would also lead to the destruction of the hereafter. Sayyidina Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi, an interesting incident. He had a disciple, and this disciple was always with him. He was always there with him. You know, he gained so much of faith and blessing from Sayyidina Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala, until one day he thought to himself that I have accumulated so much of blessings and so much of faith from Sayyidina Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi. I think it's about time that instead of now coming to Sayyidina Junaid Baghdadi every day, I must just live in seclusion. Don't worry about visiting him and seeing, you know, his Pir or Murshid. He stayed far away from him, and then he stayed in a seclusion, and then he would do his worship there without now having that thick connection of his Pir or Murshid that he once had with Sayyidina Junaid Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala. A few nights after that, some people came to him at night, and they said to him, "O disciple of great personality, we want to give you an honor." They brought a camel. "We want to give you an honor, and this honor is that we want you to spend a night in Jannah. We want you to spend the night in Jannah." So this disciple got on the camel, and then he went with these people and saw beautiful things and, you know, streams of fresh sweet water and different delicious set of foods. You know, he enjoyed himself, and when the morning came, he was in his house. He thought, look, you know what, this could have been a dream. Second day, the same thing happened. They took him, and then he enjoyed himself in in paradise, and then he came back to earth in the morning, he was in his house. Third day, exactly the same thing happened. Now, to a point where now he started even demanding that, look, I need this different type of a dish, I need this different type of a dish. And arrogance entered in his heart. And so much so that he was speaking even publicly about it. That I am such a highly recognized person that the angels come to me at night, they take me to Jannah and I spend the night in Jannah. It was at that time when Sayyidina Junayd Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala realized, so and so is known, is not coming to visit me, what has happened? And then when he was told that this is the situation, he went to meet this particular person. And he told him straight, look, this is my position now, I get to go to Jannah and then come back and spend time there in Jannah. So Sayyidina Junayd Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala tells him that do me one favor. Tonight when you go into Jannah, just a simple request I need you to do for me. Just read La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Just read La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah when you are in Jannah. So the same night he went to Jannah again. So he remembered what Sayyidina Junayd Baghdadi rahmatullah ta'ala alayhi had requested from him. And when he was in Jannah, he recited La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. And as soon as he recited that, all those people that brought him into Jannah, they ran away from him. They flee from him. They ran from far away from him. They never wanted to see him. They never wanted to hear anything from him. And then when he gained his consciousness, he found himself laying down in a dump yard. He found himself where? Laying down in a dump yard. And who was doing all this? It was the trick and the plan of Shaitan. Shaitan tricked him to think that he was spending a night in Jannah. Shaitan tricked him to think that, he's over, everybody else in terms of status and ranks, so much so that if he wants to go to Jannah now, he'll go and then come back. That was the trick of Shaitan. And how did Shaitan take over this disciple of Sayyidina Junayd Baghdadi rahmatullah? He took over him as soon as pride entered his heart. And he thought he was a big personality. And thereafter he was humble enough, after having learned this big lesson, that he must stay very close and very near to those people who are closer to Allah Ta'ala. And he realized that arrogance is the root of all evils. Arrogance is the root of all the sins that are there. Because an arrogant person cannot be advised. Even Quran and Hadith makes no sense to us, that particular person. Therefore, my dear respected Islamic brothers, we make dua in the court of Allah Ta'ala. May Allah Azza wa Jalla protect us from arrogance. May Allah Ta'ala make it such that before we leave this world, if for some reason there are some dots of arrogance in our heart, may make it such that we clean out our hearts and purify our hearts. Because if our hearts are not purified and clean in this world, as per the hadith of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, on the day of Qiyamah, even if we have, pride equal to the mustard seed, we will not go to Jannah. No Jannah. We will have to go to Jahannam and burn first. And then how long are we going to be in the Jahannam? We don't know, only Allah Azza wa Jalla knows. And therefore, it is better that we get rid of our pride. It is better that we get rid of our arrogance in this world, so we don't even have to see the fire of Jahannam. As I like giving this, an example where it is said that a person who will be given the least punishment of Jahannam, he'll be made to wear the shoes of Jahannam. He'll be made to wear the shoes of Jahannam. And only the shoelace of that shoes will be dipped in the fire of Jahannam. And this will be so severe that the brain of that particular person will boil in his head. He never touched the fire of Jahannam. No part of his body touched the fire of Jahannam. Only the shoelace of the shoes of Jahannam touched the fire of Jahannam, and his brain boils in his head. Now imagine if you are thrown in the fire of Jahannam at the respected Islamic. We will not even be able to bear a microsecond in the fire of Jahannam. Let alone a second. A microsecond will not be able to bear when it comes to the fire of Jahannam. The fire of this world makes dua in the court of Allah Ta'ala, being fire. It makes dua in the court of Allah that, Ya Allah Azza wa Jalla, save me from the fire of Jahannam. Think about this. Fire of this world is so fearful and so scared of the fire of Jahannam. If fire is scared of fire, what are we going to do as human beings? People of blood, bones, and flesh. So with these few words, allow me to ask Allah Ta'ala really to purify us from pride and from arrogance. May Allah Ta'ala make us better Muslims, understanding Muslims, obedient Muslims, and Muslims who love Quran, Muslims who love our 5 daily salahs, and ultimately Muslims who are closer to those who are closer to Allah and His Habib sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Amin. Bijay Nabi Amin sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad.